I need to confess something that might get me kicked out of progressive spaces. I think Joe Rogan's Triggered and Strange Times comedy specials are genuinely hilarious. And before you click away or cancel me in the comments, hear me out. Because this contradiction says something important about comedy, politics, and how we consume art in 2025. Hey everyone, my name is Ima Catherine Maya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. For this video, I invite you to dive with me into the messy intersections of culture, politics, and entertainment. Today we're tackling one of the most complicated questions in comedy criticism. Can you be progressive and still find problematic comedians funny? And more specifically, what do we do with Joe Rogan? I'm going to analyze Rogan's Triggered and Strange Times stand-up comedy specials through a progressive lens, while being honest about why they still make me laugh. This isn't about defending everything he's said. It's about understanding the complexity of comedy, the intimacy of stand-up, and how we navigate art that both entertains and troubles us. Let's start with what actually makes these specials funny, because dismissing them outright would be intellectually dishonest. In Triggered, Rogan covers everything from a man breaching White House security, where he hilariously imagines the intruder's thought process.
Oh my God, I'm doing it! Thinking with every step, this is gonna be the last step of my life. No, this is gonna be the last step of my life. No,
To the absurdities of Scientology and his own parenting failures. His bit about pot edibles versus smoking is genuinely insightful. He captures something true about the different experiences in a way that's both educational and hilarious. When he talks about edibles making you feel like you can talk to dolphins, there's a specificity there that you only get from real experience.
because they look at you. They like check you out. They like pop out of the water and they like look at you. They're like a person, not like a fucking deer or woodchuck. They look at you like another person. Granted, I was so high I thought I was gonna die. But I'm making eye contact with these dolphins and I start thinking, how smart are these fucking things?
What makes Rogan effective as a comedian isn't his impressions. Even sympathetic reviewers say they're bad. But his ability to find the absurd in everyday situations, his energy, physical comedy,
Climb up and kick off their designer shoes to reveal black raven's claws and clutch the edge of the bed and just whispered in his ear.
and self-deprecating humor all land well with the crowd. Strange Times follows a similar formula but feels more polished.
Donald Trump said that if he fought Joe Biden would go down fast and hard. I want to get in his ear. I'm like, let's make this happen, bro. There's a lot. There's money on the table. I'll commentate for free. No rules. Grow your nails out, wear a diaper, no clothes. To the death. Fuck it.
His observations about pro wrestling, legalization of marijuana, and complaints about political correctness are confidently delivered. The Boston crowd is clearly with him.
That's that cottonmouth, son. Woo! Yeah, you guys are legal now. I grew up here. We used to hide in the bushes and smoke weed. Ridiculous. Hiding from cops that are now getting high. What did I do to all those fucking kids? Ooh. The real problem is the laws. And Massachusetts finally has good laws. We'll be able to understand what pot actually is.
Comedy technique matters. Timing, delivery, energy, the ability to build and release tension. Rogan knows and uses these well. But let's be clear about the problems, because they're significant. Both specials contain material that ranges from outdated to actively harmful. There's transphobic content that isn't just edgy. It's designed to diminish and mock transgender experiences. His approach to political correctness, these days often referred to as being woke, often comes off as frustration that he can't make 2005-era jokes anymore. It is possible to be respectful and funny, Joe. Lots of comedians do it. In his podcast episodes, Joe and his guests often bemoan the rise of cancel culture in our society. I'm pretty sure he is already aware of what I'm about to say, but he just doesn't want to acknowledge it. Joey, there is no such thing as cancel culture. There is, however, your words and actions have consequences culture. What's interesting is that some of his best material proves he doesn't need to punch down. His insecurities, celebrity culture, the absurdity of technology, these bits are observational, funny, and not cruel. Can we acknowledge these problems while still engaging with the funny parts? That's the central challenge for progressive comedy fans.
Yay!
I need to share something personal that completely shifted how I think about this. My son is transgender, and he showed me Rogan's bit about Caitlyn Jenner from the Triggered special when it first came out. He was 16 years old at the time. He's 24 now. So, on that night, 8 years ago, I heard a loud noise coming from his bedroom, and at first I thought it was him crying, and I thought something must be terribly wrong. I rushed in there and found instead that he was laughing his ass off. I asked him what was so funny, and he showed me the bit. I found it to be hilarious too, and felt great about the fact that we could both enjoy it, him without being hurt, and me without feeling guilty. When I asked him why he didn't feel offended by a bit like that, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "It's just jokes, folks. We all have to be capable of laughing at the parts of life and the parts of ourselves that are silly or ridiculously laughable. We'll never humanize ourselves to cisgender conservatives if we can't acknowledge our humanness and laugh at ourselves. I mean, the Kardashians don't turn into Ravenclaw demons at night, but it's fucking hilarious to imagine how they could, right?" This moment made me realize that my relationship to this comedy was more complicated than I thought. Here was someone directly in the trans community that I thought was being mocked, but he was finding genuine joy and even strategic value in the humor. That doesn't mean all trans people feel this way, and it doesn't excuse genuinely harmful content. But it reminded me that the people we think we're protecting sometimes have more nuanced views than we assume. Stand-up creates a unique relationship between performer and audience. Unlike film, it's a person and a microphone telling you what they really think is funny. When Rogan tells me a joke, he's not playing a character, although some comedians do write that way. It seems to me that Joe's style is simpler. I think most of the time, he's just presenting as himself. This intimacy, both comedy's greatest strength and ethical challenge, means that problematic material hits differently. It's undeniable that discovering a comedian's problematic side can make it hard to separate their jokes from their personal beliefs, because in other art forms, this emotional connection is less intensely personal in its presentation. Bigotry denial syndrome comes up, a performer who says, "I'm not exist, but," is trying to have it both ways. Rogan does this often. But my son's perspective made me think, maybe the question isn't just, is this harmful? But also, who gets to decide what's harmful and in what context? I want to reject the idea that finding Rogan funny makes you a bad progressive. Comedy is subjective, and sometimes what makes us laugh bypasses conscious politics. The comedy landscape is filled with beloved figures whose classic material isn't always politically correct. Carlin.
They say they're going to pre-board those passengers in need of special assistance. Cripples!
Pryor. Early SNL. And more. Progressive criticism has to be more nuanced than, "Don't watch this." We should engage with complex, problematic art and critique its flaws honestly. My son's reaction taught me that sometimes the people we think we're defending have agency and perspectives we haven't considered. That doesn't mean we abandon critical thinking, but it does mean we should listen more. Progressives need to get comfortable with contradiction and complexity in comedy criticism. Stop demanding ideological purity. Comedy works by violating social norms. Not every joke has to align with our politics. Distinguish between outdated attitudes and outright cruelty. Context matters. Focus on patterns, not just single jokes. A transphobic bit may be a mistake, but a career based on mocking marginalized groups should be called out. But also, listen to the communities you think you're defending. They might have more complex relationships with this material than you expect. Rogan isn't just a comedian, he's a gatekeeper with massive influence. His podcast legitimizes controversial figures who don't base their views on empirical data, aka reality, and thus are too dangerous to be given that massive platform.
Nope. What? Huh?
Seriously?
Also, his scene in Austin is criticized for echo chamber behaviors. When we talk about his specials, we're also talking about the worldview they promote. Many other comedians, like Mark Maron, Anthony Jeselnik, Trey Crowder, Cliff Cash, and Bill Burr, to name a few of my favorites, have publicly called out Rogan's comedy scene for losing its edge. That tells us something. We can enjoy the specials, but should consume them thoughtfully, always aware of context. It is possible to be progressive and still find Rogan's specials funny, as long as we're honest about what we're laughing at and why. My son taught me that sometimes the best way to fight prejudice isn't to shield people from it, but to engage with it, thoughtfully and on our own terms. We can appreciate comedic skills while questioning influence. We can laugh at absurdist humor while calling out genuine harm. Don't feel guilty for enjoying imperfect art. The goal is thoughtful consumption, informed by the voices of people actually affected by these issues. Comedy is complex, and so should be our criticism. But maybe that complexity is exactly what makes both comedy and progressivism stronger. So, what do you think? Have you had conversations with people directly affected by comedy that changed your perspective? Let me know in the comments. Respectful disagreement is not only welcome, it's encouraged. Just be sure that if you state something as fact, be prepared to back it up with empirical evidence. If you can't do that, then recognize that what you're saying is opinion. Hate speech won't be tolerated, but other than that, I truly would love to see a wide variety of different perspectives. We're all just going to be grown-ups about it. If you found this analysis helpful or interesting, please like this video. It really does help so much. If you find another video of mine that you also find yourself enjoying, then I do hope you'll subscribe. Keep thinking critically, and keep listening to voices that might surprise you. There is a wide variety of content on this channel, so please check me out, because I just might have other videos you'd want to watch. I've posted the entire Triggered stand-up special, broken up into segments. The link to my Joe Rogan comedy playlist is in the description for this video. I'm also working on making videos for his very first stand-up special, which was released as audio only. The ones I have done are on that playlist as well. If you have a suggestion for a video you'd like to see, or a request for specific content, don't hesitate to let me know. If you have any other content creator friends, let them know that I also make intros, outros, and channel graphics if you think they might be interested. It's all for free. I genuinely desire that the rest of your day goes well, and I'll see y'alls again soon. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate ya.